Warlock, so that's a great keep already, but probably wants to look for something like Wild Growth to also accompany that.
Yeah, and here I think the early game from the Druid deck is probably gonna like decide how this game is gonna be played, because the Handlock does everything the same every single time, and Druid has some very explosive draws with Innervate, Wall Growth, and even Nourish. So he will be dictating the pace of this game. And I think if the game goes for very long without the Druid deck getting an advantage, Handlock's gotta be favored because the hero power, is just hero power is just so good. And you have Siphon So, which is hard removal that our deck doesn't have. And your guys are a little bit bigger. 8/8s are a little bit bigger than 4/5s and stuff. But yeah, the match could definitely go either way. Since both decks kind of do similar things.
Every single Magic player that I ever talked to always sits in disbelief when I describe to them the first time the Warlock hero power in Hearthstone. They're like, "Are you serious?" Like, what? You just because I forgot the name of the card equivalent in Magic, as BGH, by the way, shuts down this Mountain Giant as expected.
Yeah, there's Greed. There's a card
Greed. That's right. You pay 2 life and draw a card.
Yeah, it's a card that costs 4 to play. And Warlock already starts with that in play. So, I mean, yeah, the hero power is definitely very good, and this deck is constructed very well around the hero power. But there's one of those relatively fast starts from Xixo. He had plays on turn 3 and 4, and then played an Innervate 5/5. So Firebat is with his back on the wall here.
And now you just always mull over whether or not you should play around any kind of AoE that your opponent has, whether it's something like Hellfire. Not really Shadow Flame in this scenario because the trades would be pretty poor, but still, you have to kind of be careful about it. Xixo chooses to hold back, which turns out might still be punishing because Firebat can go for the clear here.
Yeah, which he probably will. I mean, it's best play before. He was probably thinking whether he wanted to play Ancient Watcher or use Hero Power this turn. Chooses to go for Ancient Watcher. Feels like he doesn't need more cards and just wants to add something that he can Shadow Flame away to the board without using more mana. But I think if I was with a drawn card, I'm very greedy.
I mean, it's just play style. It comes down to you have flexibility with Ironbeak Owl and silencing it. Most likely, it seems like Firebat's going to answer this threat with Siphon Soul for sure.
Yeah, it's not going to get much better than a 5/10. He does have other ways to deal with it. He could Owl it and then Power Overwhelming the 1/2 and attack into it. That would kill it. He could also Faceless Manipulator it, get his own 5/10, and then taunt his guy attack and Soulfire. This might be the best play.
Huh.
So he does have the whole combo in hand. He has Leroy, Faceless, and Power Overwhelming, and Soulfire, so he might not want to part with those cards.
Yeah, that's 20 damage already, or 24, excuse me. Yeah. That might be the countdown for when Firebat can win this game and even up his score in the series. Now, Xixo, on the meanwhile, this Druid deck, if you play the traditional mid-range, it struggled against Handlock because it doesn't have many ways to deal with a mass board clear. And so you're kind of dependent on these single target killers like Black Knight and BGH. After all, your premium removal spells like Swipe can only take out half a giant. So Xixo needs to rely on the board. But there's cards like that can always be the X factor. Cards like Faceless Manipulator, cards like Ragnaros, which always seems to turn the dice, depends on who's controlling it. And I really kind of want to say that Firebat's favored, but I'm always kind of saying that conditionally because I feel like the Druid can do a lot of cool stuff too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he does have Ragnaros and Faceless Manipulator, so he's going to put up a fight in the late game at least. Unlike some other versions of Druid that if you get outclassed by big minions, you just lose. This one he actually has ways to win.
All right. Well.
Ooh, healing the 1/2. That's pretty interesting because now it forces his opponent to attack it with a 5/5 instead of just using his hero power.
Right. And then he baits out maybe Keeper of the Grove for 2 damage or Wrath instead or something else that can be taken away from his future Twilight Drakes or future other cards that he doesn't want to have those removal spells or minions on.
It could clear the board with 2 swipes here.
All right, well, let's just turn that into a reality. Why not?
Yeah. Probably attack face here. No, chooses to attack the minion. Okay.
He does not want to enable Molten Giants. Ooh, Firebat gets another kind of giant. Doesn't really need to have Molten to activate this.
Yeah. And, you know, just 1 more mana and he wins the game.
I think Firebat's also keeping a count of what if my opponent has combo, but I don't think you can... Do you Soul Fire because you're afraid of combo? You have a lot to lose. Oh, he taps into Lotheb, which Lotheb would have been the better thing. Like if he tapped first, he could have played Lotheb to deny the combo. Oh man, that's
yeah, he changed his mind. I mean, he was gonna go for... Yeah, he could have won this game. Though maybe Xixo would have just played Farseer instead. Oh, okay.
Well,
so
let's see. Leroy...
Yeah,
and
now
baseless is only 20 damage. Oh gosh. Alright. Now how does Xixo deal with this? Does he have to use faceless on his own on his opponent's Ragnaros and then rely on it?
Yeah. He can't even taunt it up because of the Lotheb.
Oh, but he got Sludge Belcher. That's an important card too. Just needs to hit the Ragnaros, or maybe the other minion too. Just hit something, not the face. Oh, and he snipes the other Rag. This is some crucial moments. Rag once again coming down to these handlock control wars.
Yeah, and now, you know, that's looking pretty good for Xixo. Yeah, for Firebat, unfortunately, that, you know, obviously he knows he should hero power before playing his spells, but he wasn't going to hero power. He just changed his mind after he played the giant, which might just cost him the game, unfortunately.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, he's not out of it yet. You know, he's still going to play a bunch of minions and you hope Ragnaros doesn't eat something great. But, you know, does he hero power now and risk immediately dying? Well, guess not. He's going to gain 3. Yeah, if you're going to gain 3, you gotta hero power here.
Yeah, this is just a tricky situation where, like, he could have set himself up. Could have been in a situation where he'd been lethal. But now it's kind of just flipped and reversed. And Firebat gave up some of his best tools in the late game as the handlock. And he's still at the mercy of Ragnaros. Now back over to Xixo. Is there a way for him to guarantee himself to be able to go for like a 50-50 win here? I don't think so.
I think safest play here would probably be Sunwalker or Seer Mark. It would be the play that's probably less likely to get him dead, but I don't think he needs to do all of that. Yeah, just, you know, killing that and Mark is
all right. Well,
pretty good.
He's still vulnerable to Molten Giant Shadow Flame. And this is still in the back of his mind. Meanwhile, Ragnaros will still do what he pleases, and he hits the Sludge Belcher. Oh, and oh my god, Firebat picks up a Molten Giant. That allows him to go for a Shadow Flame play.
Yeah, and, you know, those Leroy tokens. Oh, he wants to keep the Molten Giant. He's just going to attack his opponent's creatures.
Fair enough. Also works as well. Still a little scary against combo, but I guess at this stage you just want to go for the win here. You keep the Molten Giant as opposed to having just a 1/2 token and a 3/3. I can get behind that.
Well, but you also got a Leroy. You lost to Leroy.
That's true.
And his opponent would be a 6 last life. So you know, I can see marriage to both plays. Could also have used his 0 power to draw an extra card and make the giant cost 0 since he had 1 left mana. But doesn't want to go, too far below.
Wow, tough moments for Firebat. He can kill off this Farseer and pop the bubble, make the giant live, but
He has to
it's
do
still
that, I
slim
think.
pickings.
I think I would be tempted to hero power here.
Yeah.
At this point, you're not worried about dying to burst, especially since your opponent has already played 2 swipes. I think you should just try to draw, better cards. He needs a Siphon Soul now.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. There's not a lot of direct damage that Firebat has to worry about. It's still about the combo. Like, do you have... Oh my god, second Molten Giant. Oh, wow. Well, that's a card that's kind of useless here. You're just worried about Force of Nature and Savage Roar, but you're at such low health, I think it's kind of inconsequential. Either way, it's coming down to the point where Xixo just has to draw one more point of damage here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this turn he wished he had hero power last turn. If he could do it twice this turn, he would have. Yeah, I mean, you died to Force of Nature anyway here. Not even the combo, just Force of Nature.
You're Xixo, do you feel like you have to set up the biggest wall you can? Or do you play Sylvanas on the chance that your opponent can't have it burst through?
If you play Sylvanas, you'll be at 3rd. Well, 12. Yeah, you can play. I think Sylvanas is fine.
Yeah, that's still 2 taunts he has to push through. It's not easy.
Okay. And Drake doesn't even kill a taunter if it comes to that.
Right. Firebat picks up Soulfire. That allows him to push through 1 taunt.
Yeah, I mean, he can kill both taunts, but then his opponent is going to get a Sylvanas, and he'll have no cards. His opponent still has 2 cards left.
Well, his opponent has actually lethal at this stage. You just have to actually kill off as much as you can.
Yeah, he has to hero power here.
Oh, man! That stinks. Firebat won't be able to win this game. And Draxus is 1 mana off from being able to be played and heal back up to 15.
Yeah, yeah, so close.
And if there's one statement that kind of describes Firebat's situation, it's definitely not enough mana here. The series is tied up, and we're going to Game 5. Xixo will face against Firebat's Hunter deck, I believe. Oh, no, Hunter was banned. That's right, Druid deck. And Druid ramp will be the choice for Firebat, and we're going to have kind of a mirror match, but there are some card differentials between these 2 players.
Yeah, we can see that Xixo actually doesn't even run the combo. So, like, unlike, most versions have 1 of each piece, but Xixo has 0.
Yeah, and that's because, and he's able to fit in a lot of quality minions too. Just look at his list. I mean, he has Nourish, and he has the normal list of threats that you've come to expect, and a little more juice. He's got Kel'Thuzad, which can give a lot of his cards, like Sunwalker, like Sylvanas, insane value. And, I mean, he's well-tooled for the late game. And in these Druid mirrors, in terms of how they stack up class versus class, usually the slower one has the upper advantage. And I feel like with this in mind, Xixo might be the one who can take this, because he's also got Faceless Manipulator, a card that's really good in the mirrors. But look for cards like Black Knight